Hey guys, it's Bad Wolf here with another Ashes of Creation video, and this video will be based on my thoughts of the Alpha 1 tank class so far. There are plenty of videos out there covering what each ability is, plus I have a video running in the background showing what each tank ability is and what it looks like from the Ashes of Creation channel. So while you're listening to me talk about what the gameplay is like, you can just watch that if you want to see what they look like. So I don't want to take away from any other creators by putting out the same thing, so I'm just going to talk about my experience while playing tank in Ashes of Creation. This video is meant to be about what the tank feels like in comparison to other games, and do the abilities really reflect more of what a tank should be or not, bearing in mind of course that the game is still very early in its alpha life. Of course everything is subject to change, and one thing I know that will change is the damage output that the tank currently does. So first off, what is a tank? A tank is a character within a raid or a party in which they do their best to redirect any attention or damage from mobs or bosses onto themselves, mitigating damage onto the other roles within said party or raid. So how does the Ashes of Creation tank abilities stand up against other tank abilities from other games? One thing to note is that the combat in this game is a little bit quicker than others. Not in the terms of like nuking an enemy per se, but simply the playstyle in which combat is. So while we were in the Alpha 1 test weekend, I did max level the tank that I was playing, which was level 15. And one thing that I did notice was most of the abilities that the tank type has in the game are either engaging, stuns, or crowd controls. For example, when I was playing, I would use my weapon throw ability, immediately followed by Onslaught, which when leveled up, knocks down the enemy and deals damage, immediately followed by Shockwave, which knocks all enemies down again in front of you. This essentially made it to where, by the time I started using my standard attack, the mobs were about 90% dead. If I was going against an elite mob with thousands of hit points, I would definitely throw a Lacerate before I start standard attacking, just to cause them to bleed, Bulwark to get my defense buff up, and Shockwave and Onslaught on their cooldowns, as their cooldowns are relatively short, to keep knocking the enemy down. This ultimately did give me the feeling of a tank. I was controlling the fight as well as the pace of damage I would take from the enemy, as I was controlling them being knocked down. I feel like I had a good amount of abilities to choose from at any point in time, which I really don't get that feeling from games like World of Warcraft, where you might find yourself waiting on cooldowns you need more than having an alternate ability that can help just as much. So Arcage is a little bit of a different beast, where in the game, during character creation, you select one ability tree, and then as you level up, you get two more, so you get a total of 3, and you're able to choose from a variety of different kinds and merge different ones together to make different classes. I feel like the tank in Arcage is someone who goes into the middle of the fight and throws as much CC and stuns up as possible. I played a Thaumaturge for a little bit in that game, and I would literally teleport right into the front line and throw up I believe they're called Hell Spikes or something like that, and it would impale, or maybe it was impale. They would impale the anyone within the distance around me and keep them stationary for an X amount of time, and that gave all the dagger spells enough time to get off their meteors and stuff like that. So just kind of helping control the battlefield is what I feel the Ashes of Creation tank is going to be more like. Whereas something like World of Warcraft, where it's just going through a dungeon and soaking up as much damage as possible, keeping your threat up, and just depending on all those heals to come your way. You know, as much as any tank loves heals, I feel like the Ashes of Creation tank is going to be more of a controller on a battlefield than, you know, someone who just is there to soak up damage because they just have so much health. Another thing I found that was really interesting was, you know, in games like, again, World of Warcraft, where, you know, they have multiple different tank classes, you know, depending on kind of the race that you choose. I'm not going to go over all of them, but, you know, a warrior will have charge, which is like the Ashes tank onslaught ability. Death Knights have Death Grip, which is similar to Javelin, and Paladins have Avenger's Shield, which is similar to Weapon Throw. And you know, those are 3 different classes in one game, where the tank in Ashes gets something similar in just one class. And granted, this is just the generic tank that we got to test, as no secondary classes were available during the alpha. So I couldn't test any of those, but I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, to see how controlling the generic tank class was. In conclusion, I feel this tank is super versatile. With secondary classes coming into the mix, I know it will just add to that versatility and perhaps differentiate many tanks out there, as it may take a long time to come across someone who has the same specs as you, as far as the skill tree points go, augments, or same class variation. As I did play solo during the initial weekend, I didn't exactly get to see how much threat I generated in a party, but I do know that, you know, if I was in an area where me and a couple people were grinding the same mobs and attacking the same elite mobs, I kept aggro. It was not a problem. I know that's not saying much, and I would like to do further tests on that. The crowd control abilities seem very off the charts with how much you can already do in PvP with the tank. I think having tanks in your PvP party will be a huge gain if you can balance the amount of CC and DPS going out. This was my experience during the Alpha 1 test weekend. I plan on testing all the classes during the available test times we are given. I'll keep you guys informed on how they play in comparison to similar classes in other games. If you guys enjoyed this, please consider subscribing for future Ashes of Creation content.